group and getting a replay. So welcome to all of you. Um, I am wishing you all a peaceful and healthy winter solstice. If you don't know what the winter solstice is, it is the shortest day of the year and the longest night of the year. So I love that I'm covering this topic um, about isolation and loneliness and grief, and about finding a light in the darkness. As the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, we can really make a correlation of it to this feeling and grief of this dark night of the soul that grief can feel like. But the winter solstice, being the beginning of winter, is also a return to the light, because as each day will now get incrementally longer, we actually find more light coming in each day as the sun reverses its direction and begins to head back towards summer and longer days. So just when it seems like the darkness would never end, from this day on, day by day, even hour by hour, it just gets ever so much more light. So symbolically, the winter solstice has really symbolized death in a lot of ways, but also the rebirth of the sun. And for tens of thousands of years, human beings have celebrated the winter solstice by turning towards the light in this darkest of times. And this was more than about the metaphor. This was survival. This was the beginning of winter and needing to have enough energy and light and sustenance to make it through the winter. And one of the ways that people would celebrate this day would be lighting candles. I have one of my beautiful beeswax candles here. I love candles. I'm often lighting candles for your loved ones when you're kind enough to tell me their name and their life story. And I also, if you can't see it, I have a fire in the fireplace behind me. And that also is traditionally something that's done on winter solstice, along with even bonfires and larger ways to bring light into the darkness. And this marks the winter solstice as a glimmer of hope in the darkness and a sign of life renewing, even though we can't see it. And without going too far into any kind of toxic positivity or spiritual whitewashing, we all need to remember in grief that there is still some light, whether or not we can see it or feel it. So I do want to say right off the bat, if you have recently lost someone, if you're in acute grief or in traumatic grief, please do not put more pressure or expectation on yourself. By just showing up here right now, by just watching this video, by just listening to it, you have given yourself a gift of light. That's enough. That's enough. You don't have to do anything else. As Westerners, we are so proactive. We want to do something, fix something, make it better. And grief works very differently than that. So by just showing up here, just by saying, by joining the Facebook group, I'm saying that's amazing and beautiful that you've done that for yourself. You've added more light from an empowered, loving place of self-care. That is a foundation of healthy grieving. You've made a choice to come here and to listen to this, and that's amazing. That is a form of adding light to the darkness. But I want to make sure that since this content that I share in the Facebook group is quite universal, there's so many people in the group that have very different experiences of loss. When they lost their loved one, how they lost them, who the person was to them, who you are as a person. Each one of you is a completely unique thumbprint of grief. So since I'm not speaking to each of you individually, I'm speaking to you as the group. The content that I share in the weekly sessions is quite universal. So it's important that I make sure that some of you, as I'm going through homework and ideas, if you feel up to doing some of it, fantastic. But if you don't, that's fantastic too. You need to treat yourself with anything you do in your grief experience, even with the support you get or any kind of healing work or tools you work with, or any of my exercises, that I want you to come from a very loving, gentle, patient place where you're coming from a loving self-care, this higher self that loves you unconditionally. So, although winter is traditionally a time of hibernation, which is very valid, very healing, and completely necessary in grief, although hard to do in Western society. Most companies don't give a great deal of time for bereavement leave. You have to, if you have a family and people that you're taking care of, it can be very difficult to find time to go within and hibernate, which I believe is a healthy part of the seasons of grieving. So I think you have to find these times, catch as catch can, and really make the most of them. But another thing about the idea of hibernating, maybe that means stealing away with a good book in a quiet space, or going out and just being in nature and not maybe listening to music or a book or anything, and just having that peacefulness of nature, hearing the breeze, hearing the birds, hearing snow crunch under your feet if you're in a colder climate, or the breeze in the leaves of the trees. These are very soothing, and they're so connecting with nature that they can be sort of an active hibernation, if you will. But one of the things about grief is that it requires witness. It requires community, and that's healthy grieving. Needs to be seen, it needs to be heard. So one of the things I want to remind you is that finding some light in the darkness does not in any way, shape, or form disrespect your loved one or diminish your grief. On the contrary, this being reminded of light and connection can actually empower you to grieve in a healthier, more connected way with your loved one. Because we always want to honor your love for them and your connection with them. And we always want to honor how much you miss them. I'm constantly lighting these candles. There's a reason I have so many candles in my life. And there's a reason I may have mentioned, or you've seen it on the website, that I created a condolence bespoke collection of condolence items, because over the years of losing so many loved ones myself, in wanting to give some light and some love and condolence to their family and maybe their parents, spouses, siblings, and children, I wasn't finding anything that really spoke to me. So I even have a beautiful candle that I've created as part of my condolence collection. This is for other people to buy something beautiful for you, but there's a reason there's a candle, quite a few candles in the collection, because they are so powerful. People have been lighting candles to bring some light into the darkness for tens of thousands of years. We tend to think of this as, or at least thousands of years, we tend to think of these things as religious, and certainly most religions light candles in honor of connectedness with spirit, honoring someone who's passed, honoring ritual occasions, different life celebrations. But people have been lighting candles before religious organizations also made that part of their rituals and their celebrations. It's a very human thing to do, to have fire and to feel the power and the light that that fire brings. And it's very powerful in grief work. So what we want is to approach this lighting of a candle or bringing light in the darkness you know, we all want that one that one thing. We want the loved one back. We want this to end. We want the person or the pet or the loved one back. And since that's not something we can create, what I say to people is find ways to perhaps light a small candle over here and light another light over here and bring some other light in over here. And as we do these small increments of adding light into our life, we it's like a boat rising up with the tide. We're bringing more light and more connection into our lives without it being this about the loss, although it is about honoring the loved one. I'm constantly lighting candles to honor my loved ones and other people's loved ones. So even if it's finding a star in the sky, perhaps finding something that's quite pretty and sparkly that is prismatic and reflects light. This is another thing I had created, a light catcher that reminds you that even if the sun is not shining, there is still light, and that the light is still reflected, and the light is in your heart. That's that's where the light is. So we can use these external things like the candle lighting to remind us non-consciously that we always have this light and love in our hearts. And that is a deep reminder that we are not alone. It's so easy to feel alone when we have lost a loved one, particularly if that person was one of our main connected people to us, maybe a parent, maybe a spouse, a child, any loss. If that person was the light in your life, it can feel like it's impossible to find some light and some connectedness. So because grief feels like darkness, I I ask, do we find a way to make some small choice to add some light to the darkness? Because when there's choice, even even a small choice, there is a tiny bit of hope. And I'm going to say it again. This is not toxic positivity or spiritual whitewashing. I am not saying, oh, this is going to make it all better. Don't feel your darkness or your pain. That that is not what I'm saying. That is obtuse and deeply uncaring when you experience that from other people. But when we have some hope that there is still light in the world, or a light in our heart, and love in our heart, when we have hope and choice, we can find ways to make it through another day of darkness. So I say it's a good ritual to create some light in the darkness by lighting a candle or by bringing light in. So I have a handout for you that I posted, and there's a couple of tables that list different ideas for creating connection and adding in some light. So the connection is about working on this feeling of aloneness or isolation in your grief. Because when you add in more light and you add in more connection, you come to realize that you are not alone. So a couple of different ways that you can bring these things add like energy, life, love, and to me, those things are light. So by bringing a kindness into the world, if you can find the strength to volunteer, even anything small, random acts of kindness, um, just doing something nice for someone. I talk about my buy nothing groups a lot. Sometimes you'll see requests on there of someone who has nothing for the holidays and they're looking for any kind of gifts for their children. So you get to declutter something from your house, or maybe there's a toy that you were going to give to someone that you didn't give to them, and this can now be repurposed and send that light and that love out to another person. You can create something. Either I have on here, create a bird feeder. I think I was thinking of those childhood projects where you would pack something with peanut butter and cover it with bird seed and put it out for nature. But feeding birds, helping them make it through the winter can be very powerful and connect you with nature and with life. And volunteering, possibly at a homeless shelter, just um, finding a traditional grief support group. As you may or may not realize yet, my group is a non-traditional approach to support in grieving. Um, I work to keep the group lighter, and I don't mean lightweight. I mean, when we're telling stories in the group, what I want is for you to post stories of your loved one's life, not about their death, not about any illness, not so much about the tragedy. Did that happen? Is that important for you to deal with and express and have that be seen and move that and tell that story? Absolutely. And I believe that that takes place therapeutically in grief support programs that I offer and in one-on-one grief coaching with me. So the Facebook group, The Heart of Grieving, is more about you receiving support from me and from my content and telling the positive stories of your loved one, because that is how you stay more connected to them and to their life and to the love for them and to the light that they were in the world. So I also am careful in that when everyone's going into the main feed and the discussion feed, that I keep stories that might be triggering or activating or upsetting out of the main feed, so that you know you're safe when you're going into that main discussion feed, that it's only going to be something that you will receive some light and love and positivity in that section. So another way that you can help find more light and add more light to the world is to save a life by adopting or fostering a shelter animal. You can just volunteer at a shelter and attending consciousness organizational groups. That's a very long-winded way to say maybe temple or church or meditation or yoga, something where the organization's entire purpose is light, elevated energies, that they're more positive, more love-based, more consciousness-based, that it isn't triggering or upsetting. There are a lot of support groups in the world. One of the reasons I don't have a traditional support group as a part of this is that there are so many that you can find. That if you want to be a part of a support group where you are telling a lot of maybe the trauma stories or the loss or the death or the hospice or all of these things that happen that are a part of loss and trauma and grief and mourning, that there are places for you to do that. And it is important that you do that. One of the ones I recommend is David Kessler's Tender Hearts. He's one of the many people I've studied with. I'm certified with him on a couple of different things. And he has a support group that's set up traditionally with by loss, so that you're only in a group with other people who share the same type of loss that you experienced. My work is working with who you are as a person and how you are. It is less so about who you lost, other than unless it was an extremely recent loss or an acute loss or a traumatic loss. So that's why I work a little bit differently. So I like to connect with each person in the group so that you understand more that this really is a little bit of a revolutionary approach to grief work. And it is very love-based and it is support-based, but it is always, we are always adding just even that tiny little piece of light into this side of the scale, because grief has so much of the trauma and the pain and the sadness and the darkness. We are always trying to do something that will help you add more life, more love, and more light to balance out and navigate this unbelievably challenging experience that grief is. So another thing you can do to create connection and add some light is meditation, my guided imageries, lighting a candle, doing rituals very powerful for adding light and life and love. You can set up a home altar and light a candle every day to your loved one or loved ones. You can talk to them, express yourself to them, tell them about your day. I believe that love never dies and that our loved ones are with us all the time. And in light of that, if I may be punny, one of the things about light and this topic is that we actually only see a very small portion of the spectrum of light. We know the rainbow, red to purple or violet, but that's only a small section of what makes up light. There's a great deal of light beyond the red spectrum that is longer, slower wavelengths, like infrared light. There's light that is on the other side of the spectrum beyond the blue, purple, violet, like ultraviolet and X-rays. There's a huge spectrum that we can't see because of our physical limitations. Our retina and our bodies, our brains aren't built to see that full spectrum of light. And I believe that's the perfect metaphor for connecting with our loved ones. That just because we can't see all of the light and all of the love and all of the connection doesn't mean it's not there. So anything you can do to stay connected to your loved ones is very powerful and very impactful. I find a lot of my students get more increased dreams. Sometimes you can dream of your loved one. I don't want to put any pressure on anyone for that. That can happen spontaneously. It can take quite some time. But when polled, over 50% of people said that they had heard from their loved ones, either by seeing a symbol like the red cardinal or the feather or the hummingbird, whatever your language of symbolism and communication would be with your loved one. That's very important. Or hearing that song, like when you know that it is something that could only be this connection with your loved one, or having dreams of their loved one. So lighting a candle, the more you connect with them and the more energy and time you put towards staying connected to them, writing letters to them, anything you can do that really helps create a stronger and stronger connection with things we can't see. So another way to add more light and connection in your life is listening to uplifting music. Now, music can be very activating. So that's up to you if you want to listen to music that reminds you of your loved one, or if you maybe want to create an entirely new playlist of songs and discover all new music that might make you feel a little bit lighter when you need to feel lighter. Inspiring stories, poetry. I never read poetry until I lost quite a few loved ones in a cluster, and now I love poetry. It's deeper communication, and because it's more non-conscious, it's not a very conscious form of communication. It's much more symbolic and subconscious. It just feels like it's a deeper way to express feelings. Poetry, movies, again, books. You may want to find new content if watching older things that you associate with your loved one are going to be too upsetting, or you may want to watch something in honor of them. Again, if you have an acute or traumatic loss that you're dealing with, just relax and just receive some love and comfort and support right now. I don't want you to focus so much on doing. Breath work. I have a whole long video class stored under guides of some breath work. Breath work is foundational in healthy grief work and can really shift and add light to how you're feeling. Like when you're really feeling shut down, or you're having anxiety, or you're really not functioning well, breath work really helps you shift and lighten up. Movement as well, any healthy exercise, just going for a walk, even just free form moving, dancing around, just any kind of movement. I'll be bringing more movement exercises to future courses. I actually have a round of my essentials in self-care program starting up in January. So I'm finalizing the details for that, and I'll share that with you in the group. And probably on the last day, day 5, which is December 28th, next Thursday. But I'm a grief movement guide. I am an art therapy practitioner. I like to add a lot of creativity. Anything you can do that is creative, that is making something, is very powerful for lightening up. So you see, I've changed the dialogue and the narrative here from talking about lighting a candle and adding light into the dark to lightening you up a little bit. And I don't mean, oh, now I'm so happy and I don't feel sad anymore. I mean, I want you vibrating at a higher level as you grieve. It's not about doing away with, fixing, or healing your grief. It's about finding ways to live and love and connect and grieve at the same time, because that's healthy grieving and healthy living. Self-care. Self-care is everything. It's everything in grief. It is especially essential in acute, early grief, immediately following a loss, and in traumatic loss. You have to find a way. I rarely say have to. You have to find a way to do some self-care to create a foundation of wellness to navigate grief, especially in our society, without all the bereavement leave and without long periods of mourning, and sometimes without a lot of up close support. So getting the help you need is a huge part of healthy grief and self-care. Another way to add some light into the darkness and to help you lighten up a bit. I hope I'm being crystal clear here in that I'm not telling you to lighten up in your sadness and grief. I truly mean that I want you to be able to take a breath and not feel so dark and so down and so heavy. That I want you to be able to give yourself moments, they may only be milliseconds, of some perspective shift for a moment. Because I want you feeling the love, feeling and being able to receive support. When we are so shut down and we are so in the dark, we have trouble even taking in real support. So this lightening up is a little bit of an opening up so that you can get help and you can navigate your grief. Take extremely small steps with any of these. Never force yourself. No toxic positivity, no self-judgment. I really should be this. I really should be able to go and do this. I really should be feeling better today. None of that. None of that. That's literal darkness. And then, navigating grief and the loss of a loved one, especially in our society, is probably one of the hardest things and most challenging things that any of us ever face. And it takes work. It's work. It's work. And it takes a plan. It takes some kind of blueprint of how you're going to navigate this based on who you are, who you lost, how you are doing, and every other detail of your life. Do you have children? Are you in a relationship? What is your work like? There's so many facets to our lives in Western society, and then adding this massive experience of the loss of a loved one that then takes over every other aspect of your life. You really need to have some kind of plan. And it also takes others. It takes finding safe people, supportive people. You truly can't do this alone. as much as hibernating a little bit and going off into, like a bear in winter with a good book and maybe disappearing, there's aspects of that that are healthy in grieving, but we really weren't meant to grieve alone. We weren't built to grieve alone. I mentioned this in a couple of the other days of this particular course, Navigating the Holidays in Grief, that grief has always been a very tribal experience where our grief was witnessed and it was honored and it was respected, by the tribe or the group. And it's just that that's so hard to find in modern day Western society. So this commitment to a healthy grieving plan, your commitment to a healthy grieving plan, that's also a key element of healthy grieving. And the self-care is committing to yourself. And again, if you're here and you're watching this and you're in this Facebook group, bravo. That I want you to actually stop and celebrate that and say, I made a good decision here. I'm making healthy decisions for myself. That learning these tools and learning, like in day one, to set your rights and understanding that you have particular rights as a griever, and learning how to set boundaries with other people in day two, and learning the choice that you have in what you're doing out in the world in day three of to celebrate or to not celebrate. That could, that content works for any choices socially beyond the holidays. Taking in this information and assimilating, and even using just one little nugget of it, you're making a choice to grieve in a healthy way. And that's really powerful, because I've been studying grief now for years, and there's a lot in the grief field that really could use improving. And that's why I'm doing this work. I want to bring something that is more light-based and love-based and connected into the world of grief work. So I'm so in awe that you're here and that you are committed to caring for yourself and for your grief. And that commitment, even just to allowing that little teeny tiny light in of self-care and knowledge, inspiration, anything, that is this little turning towards the light. And it's whether or not you can see it or feel it, that you're allowing that someday that the light returns. And that's what the winter solstice is about. So even just this possibility that there's an ability to balance the dark and the light, that is a powerful thing for you to remember. So that's the start of a beautiful flame. So your homework is asking yourself, on a scale of 0 to 100%, if 0 is total darkness and 100% is complete light, of the light we can see, where are you feeling right now? And just give yourself a little scale or rating and just take note of it. I always like first responses. The first thing that drops into your mind is usually the most powerful and the most authentic. And what I ask is that you do this almost every day. You can do it hour by hour if you really, are looking for some kind of shift, depending on how you're doing in your grief. I'd like you to, and note your findings, maybe journal it, just take note. And it's not about judging it and saying, oh, I should be, a higher percentage by now. It's more about just tracking it and eventually seeing that, one day might be like this and one day might be like this. It's this allowing of this fluctuating, and then that little choice to say, gosh, I'm feeling like I'm just a 5% right now. I'm really feeling dark. I'm feeling very poorly. I'm very overwhelmed and shut down. I'm just going to honor this where I am right now, not trying to fix that 5%. I'm honoring it. And I am going to go to my altar and I'm just going to light a candle. And I'm just going to say, when it's time, there's going to be more light. I won't always feel like this, but right now I do, and I'm honoring it. And I'm going to make choices to honor how I feel right now, and just try to be with it. Feel my feelings. Feeling your feelings is a superpower in grief. That is essential in healthy grieving. So some of the homework is adding some light by lighting candles, having a fire in the fireplace, a bonfire at the beach, doing luminaries by any means. The important thing is that you do it with some intention, even just honoring that moment, honoring your loved one, sharing some love, um, creating some light in that moment. Um, I would pick one thing from each, yes, those two columns of the adding connection so that you don't feel alone, and adding in some light. Um, this is part of the loneliness and isolation. I know it may not seem like it is, but these are the things that help with that. Because what I want you to be working on is some inner connection. We've got three kinds of connection we're talking about here. We've got connecting with yourself by honoring exactly what's happening, feeling your feelings, grounding yourself, choosing self-care and support. There's much more about inner self-care in future programs and courses, but we'll just lump, there's many, we'll put them in one. There's inner connection, there's higher connection, and that is connecting with spirit, with the universe, with the light, with life, with love, with your loved one. That's also a lot of different things lumped into one. And then there is connecting with others. So when we're feeling isolated or alone or lonely in our grief, if we can't automatically find, well, if we can't get our loved one back in that moment, which is really deeply what we want, or we can't find someone or people that we feel supported by, or that we want to spend time with, or that are a healthy people for us to be around in our grief, what you can do is work on the self connection and the connection to your loved one, spirit, the universe, and the light. So you're building connection, and then you may find that some of these then external connections with other people shift, because you've now created more connection here and more connection here. And these are supportive ways to hold yourself in the light, in a safe space, in grief. So I would say pick one thing from each column, and maybe pick one on some day that's something you can do for your physical, of adding some light and adding some connection. And then something the next day for mental connection, add some light for your mental wellness, and add some connection for your mental wellness, and then emotional, and then spiritual. And then just ponder, what are some things that may be light that you cannot see because they're beyond your physical perception? I'll give you a hint. Love. I'll just give you the first one. Love is at the top of the list. Love, and that includes self-love. So we're going to do just a quick little guided imagery here. And what I'd like you to do, this is a beautiful way to connect internally and with some light and some love. So what I'd ask you to do is just get comfortable and just take a couple of deep breaths, and feel the chair beneath you. You can recline if you wish, and just close your eyes when you're ready. Take a nice deep breath and exhale out. And if your feet are on the ground, I want you to be aware of roots extending from the bottom of your feet, going all the way down into the earth, grounding you into the earth for a deep connection of safety and security and love. This is a connection that's always available for you. We are of the earth, and this winter solstice today is part of this celebration of Mother Earth to whom we are connected and always, always safe with. We always have a safe, loving connection to the earth. So I'd like you to allow into your awareness, just in your mind's eye. It's always important to just allow any impressions to come to you. They may be visual, they may be audio, they may be just a feeling, or you may just imagine them. There's no right or wrong. There is only just what you have in your experience. No judgment. You have to go easy on yourself in this exercise. So I want you to just be aware of any feeling of darkness that you may be feeling around you in that 0 to 100%. Just be aware of it. It could be a feeling, if you can see it, and where might it be? Either like around your body, around your person, or if you feel it somewhere like on your body, or just give some awareness and some just allowing easy just impression of what that might be. And just as you bring your awareness to it, let's just focus on it for just a moment. See if there's any thoughts associated with it, any words, any sentences, any beliefs. We're just going to keep it quite simple. And what I'd like you to do is just add a little light, like you're lighting a candle in that darkness. And then I'd like you to imagine that you're outside in a beautiful forest, and it's wintertime, and you're walking through this forest. And I'd like you to allow into your awareness any impressions of what this environment looks like. Is there snow on the ground? What do the trees look like? Do you hear any sounds? It's important that you know that you are safe in this environment. You're walking through this environment and you're headed somewhere. And as you move through this forest outside, you can be aware if you see any animals, if you see any movement, are there breeze in the trees? Are there any leaves left? What's the temperature feel like? What are you wearing? What do you have on your feet? And how are you moving through this environment as you move towards a place that will soon be made clear to you and that you will soon see ahead of you? And that place is a structure. Allow into your awareness any kind of building and see what it looks like from the outside. How big is it? What kind of structure is it? Is it old? Is it new? Does it feel familiar? Or is it something you've never seen before? This space that you're going towards, this building, this structure, this is a safe place for you. This place is here just for you. And as you head up to the door, notice what the door looks like. Notice if you can see inside any windows, see how light it is inside. And then as you open the door, it's unlocked and you can come inside this building. And allow yourself to be aware of the inside space. See what's in the room. What's the quality of light in this place? What does the furniture look like? Is there furniture yet? If there isn't, you can bring furniture in so that you have a place to rest and repair and be safe in this beautiful, safe place for you. You can close the door to the outside elements and just get a feeling for the inside space. What does it feel like in here? Are there elements that feel familiar or new? Is there a fireplace? Are there photos anywhere? Is there artwork on the wall? I want you to take in every little detail of this place. Just allow it in, every little detail. Are there candles? Are there items here with meaning? And as you look around the room, you can see a nice, inviting, warm kitchen. And near the kitchen is a table, and it's set for dinner. And just notice how many place settings there are. Notice what's on the table. If there's food on the table already, what it smells like. You can allow anything on the table. If there's wine, there's abundance, there's desserts, there's anything you could possibly imagine, anything that you would like here. And if it doesn't feel like there's enough place settings here, you may add more place settings and add more room at the table, because this is a place for you to be joined by any visitors, any loving presence, any spirit, any animals, any loved ones, any guides, any loving, wise adult versions of yourself, any younger versions of you. This is a gathering place of safety and light in the darkness. So as you allow this to unfold, just allow into your awareness anyone that is showing up here for you. If you do not see anyone, you might be aware of their presence. You might hear their presence. If they're wearing a cologne or perfume, you might be aware of the scent of their presence. And if you like, you even have the right to simply imagine their presence. There is no right or wrong. This is your place of safety and light and connection. So as you allow in loving, supportive presence of all of this connection and love and support for you, take a nice breath and just be. Feel your feet on the ground here. Touch some of the things around you. Touch the chairs at the table. Light the candles. Rearrange the dinner plates. Move the food around. Pick up the wine glass. Make this a tangible experience of celebrating togetherness and connection with loved ones and those who are always, always with you. And just allow this to unfold for you, knowing that this place exists for you and is always available to you. Always. Take in any feelings that you have connecting with loved ones, connecting with guides, connecting with spirit, animals, versions of you, or there may be a presence here that you don't recognize yet, but you know that they are here and safe and supportive and loving, and that they are there for you. You can take in any feelings. You can hug. You can play. You can dance. You can sing. Do anything, any movement in this space with them joining in with you. Allow in any messages, any awareness of what they want for you, any caretaking that they have for you, the love that they have for you. Take this feeling inside like a beautiful candle in your heart, like a beautiful fire blazing in the hearth in your heart. Knowing that anytime you want to, you can revisit and connect and be filled up with all of this light and all of this love. And when you're ready, take that feeling and hold it and place it inside your heart for safekeeping. And when you're ready, you can take a nice deep breath, wish everyone there well, say you'll be back soon. Give yourself a great big self hug. And hold on to this feeling. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. You can tap your feet on the ground, pat the tops of your thighs, hug yourself, and be with this moment. And I would ask you to allow some awareness of that same scale of 0 to 100, just without judgment. How do you feel in this moment of 0 darkness, 100% light? And just ask yourself where you feel on that scale in this moment right now. So I thank you for spending time with me and for allowing in my teachings and my decades of study of all things holistic and wellness, and specifically with holistic grief work. I believe that it requires all aspect of your being to navigate grief well. That means your body, your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. And I thank you for letting me do this work, because doing this is my way of honoring all of the loved ones that I've lost. And if you have any questions for me or you need anything else, you are welcome to schedule a quick consult connect call with me or message me. And I look forward to seeing you next Thursday night at 5 o'clock live. That is day 5 of navigating grief and navigating the holidays in grief. And thanks again. I'm sending you love and comfort for your loss and a great deal of support.